What's up, what's going on, legends? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're diving into Modern Warfare Zombies, and today I'm bringing you guys the guide to enter the Dark Aether. We're going to go over each and every one of the steps required in order to get each of the items that you need, in order to then take them over to the proper place them in their position, and that way you guys can open the Dark Aether portal, getting access to this new zone. Now, I do want to mention real quick before we dive too far into it that you guys will be able to get access to one of the sigils, which is what you do all the steps in order to actually acquire if you guys do go into the tier 3 zone and complete contracts, but it is extremely rare, as I was completing quite a few contracts originally and wasn't able to get access to a sigil. So I do want to mention that you guys can get access to sigils by completing contracts in the tier 3 zone, but it is going to be very rare and also a lot more challenging. Now, there are 4 individual items that we need to acquire in order to get access to our first sigil, which then will give us access to the Dark Aether portal. These items include a camera, a dog collar, a pill bottle, and a book. So we're going to go ahead and start with the most straightforward one, which is going to be the book. Now, once you guys actually jump into the new season, you guys will notice that there is a Act 4 mission that you guys will need to complete. You're going to want to make sure you guys actually go ahead and equip this. Otherwise, when you go in, it won't actually give you guys the location of the portal. You guys will need to enter it, complete this story mission in order to get access to this next part. Now, we're not going to go through the entire story mission, but basically you dive into the story mission, you go to these 4 locations, then you guys head over to actually leave the Dark Aether. And when you guys go to leave the Dark Aether, that giant Gormgaunt worm actually comes out of the ground and you guys have to fight it. Once you guys are able to actually eliminate the Gormgaunt worm, that does complete the Act 4 story mission. But before you guys actually go over to the portal to initiate the cutscene, you'll want to head over to your now reward rift, and inside that reward rift will be the first item that we're after. It's going to be a book. This will be a gold or yellow item, so you guys will know you guys have access to the right item, because once you open the rift, it'll obviously be inside. Then this is an item that you guys are going to want to go ahead and keep in your stash, or at least in your backpack. However, if you guys do keep it in your stash, you guys can save it for a future run. But technically at this point, you guys do have access to your first item, being the book. Again, put that in your stash or put that in your backpack, as you guys will need 4 total items at the exact same time in order to complete this process. Now, our next item is going to be the dog collar. This one is going to require a couple of things. First, you guys are going to want to bring in a Molotov, as it is going to be an item that is required for this. Then you guys are going to go ahead and eliminate zombies around the map until you guys are able to pick up a chunk of flesh. Now that you have both the Molotov and the chunk of flesh, you're going to want to head over to your nearest doghouse. Now, there's definitely maps out there that can show you guys where all these doghouse locations are, but if you guys played enough, you might be familiar with some of these. Now, it doesn't matter what zone you guys choose to go into. The tier 2 zone works perfectly fine, and it will only take 1 chunk of flesh in order to do this. Is we'll take your chunk of flesh and the Molotov over to the doghouse. You'll place your Molotov into the doghouse and that chunk of flesh. The dog will then pop out of the doghouse, similar to when you give it a chunk of flesh and it becomes your friend. Only this time, because you guys put a Molotov in it, it will no longer be friendly. Then the only thing you'll need to do is eliminate the Hellhound. It is important to note, I did actually brain rot my Hellhound, so whenever it did explode, it still did drop the item. So essentially, just eliminate your Hellhound, and somewhere near where it explodes, there should be a dog collar on the ground that you guys are going to need to pick up. Now, this item will not be gold offhand, just like you guys got for the first part. So what you're going to need to do from this point is then actually transform this item into a gold item. Now, of all of the items, this is actually going to be the most challenging one. Now, this next step is going to require us to head over and find ourselves an Aether Tear or Rift, which you guys should be familiar with around the map. There is places, again, that they are actually static in, but they aren't always available in them. So you guys can just kind of drive around the map looking for them, or find a map that will show you guys these locations. Maybe if you guys are familiar with some of them because you've played enough, you guys will be able to find them pretty easy. Essentially, you just need to find one of these rifts or tears. Once you guys have acquired that dog collar, then you guys are going to go ahead and jump into it. When you guys actually show up in the air, you're going to want to pull your parachute immediately, and somewhere really high up in the air will be a dark red portal. Now, it should be pretty easy to spot. It is going to very much look like the rift you guys jumped into in order to get into the air. You guys will then just fly over to this new portal that's in the air, where you guys will then be able to obviously take it. At this point, it will spawn you in the air once again, but this time when you guys actually spawn through the portal, it does show some essence that kind of falls to a specific location on the map. At this point, this will actually spawn in a specific contract that you guys will have to go over and grab. The contract phone will be purple, so you guys don't get it mixed up with the other ones, and the one specifically for the dog collar is actually going to take you to the tier 3 zone. So this is actually the one you're going to want to be the most geared up for, and if you guys are geared up to do this one, you guys should be able to do all the other ones flawlessly. But I'm definitely going to recommend Pack-a-Punch level 3. Legendary is extremely helpful, but at least epic. Make sure you guys have extra self-revives, all the perks you guys can handle, and as many squad mates as you guys can also put together as well. Then you guys can go and grab the specific bounty contract, where it is going to send you to a specific location within the tier 3 zone, where you guys are going to be taking on a group of manglers. Now, only one of the manglers is specific to the contract, so you are going to want to eliminate the specific mangler. If you guys can manage to do that first, I think it eliminates a lot of the other ones around it. If not, you guys are going to eliminate each and every one of the manglers that is a part of this group. But once you guys do eliminate the specific mangler required, it will complete this contract, which then opens up a reward rift similar to the other contracts that you complete, and inside this will be your transformed dog collar. Now, you guys will notice when you pull this out, it is then gold. It does actually take the one out of your inventory whenever you jump into the rift and the contract spawns in, so that is something to keep in mind. So if you guys aren't planning to grab the contract, definitely don't drop into the rift unless you guys want to lose the item. But once you guys are able to complete the contract, you guys will have access to that dog collar, very similar to the book that you guys got for completing the worm. You guys can then keep that in your stash or again your inventory or backpack, having that available once you have all the items. Now the next one we're going to be jumping into is going to be the pill bottle. And this is actually one of the easiest to acquire, as you're basically just going to need to get access to a brain rot ammo mod, which you guys should be able to craft and bring in, or you guys will just complete Aether nests, infested strongholds, or loot around the map until you're able to get a brain rot ammo mod. Then you guys will be able to go ahead and knock this out. Then once you do so, you're going to want to look for an Aether nest or even an infested stronghold, as either of them should work. You guys are going to go ahead and go into the Aether nest. You're going to shoot one of the cysts with the brain rot ammo mod. You will notice that this first cyst you shoot and only the first cyst that you shoot will turn green. You guys will then be able to go up and interact with this cyst. It will take a minute to open, very similar to like a supply drop. Once you guys are actually able to open it up, it will then spawn in the pill bottle kind of in the exact location of the cyst, where you guys will then be able to grab that. Now, very similar to the dog collar, it is going to require another step. As you guys will notice, once you pick this up, it is still purple. You guys are then going to need to find a rift, just like you did with the dog collar. You're going to jump into the Aether rift or tear, where this time you guys will be seeing a green portal that you're going to want to jump into. And this time you guys will go ahead and fly into it. Once you guys go into it, it's going to spawn a contract in a different area. Now, again, once you guys spawn on the other side of the green portal, it's going to do the same thing. There's going to be some essence that falls to the ground to a specific location, which does spawn in a specific bounty. You guys will head over to this bounty, again represented by the purple coloring. You guys can then grab this bounty, and this one's going to specifically send us to a location in the tier 1 zone, where it is going to have us challenging some mimics. Again, there is going to be a group of mimics similar to the group of manglers for the other one. You guys are going to head over to this location, and you're going to be able to knock it out very similar to any normal bounty contract that you do. There's just going to be a couple extra mimics. Now for this one, if you guys are already prepared to take on the dog collar, then you guys should be more than prepared to be in the tier 1 zone taking on this group of mimics. So you guys are going to head over to the location once you've grabbed the phone, eliminate all the mimics. The reward rift will spawn in very similar to the other one. You guys will open it up. Then within that reward rift will be your transition pill bottle, now in the gold form. Next, we have our last piece of the puzzle, the camera. Now the surveillance camera is pretty easy to get as well, but it is going to require you to bring in a dead wire ammo mod. And once you guys actually spawn in, you're going to want to equip that dead wire ammo mod on any weapon of your choice. And what you're going to need to do at that point is then go around the map looking for a harvester orb. Once you guys actually identify the location of a harvester orb, which I can recommend just jumping into a vehicle, drive around the areas where you traditionally spawn in, you guys more than likely should run across one. They are also available in the tier 2 and sometimes even the tier 3 zone, so you guys should be able to come across at least one harvester orb. Once you guys come across it, you're going to want to shoot it with the dead wire ammo mod. You guys will know this is correct because the orb will then turn yellow or gold. Then you guys are going to continue shooting that harvester orb until you destroy it, and when you destroy that harvester orb, you'll go over to where it drops its items, and there should be a purple surveillance camera on the ground. Just like the other items that you grabbed, you will have to transition this item as well. So you guys will want to go ahead and find yourself an Aether Rift or Aether Portal. You guys are going to go ahead and jump into it. This time you guys are going to be looking for the yellow portal. You guys are going to fly your way into that portal. It's going to do the exact same thing, spawn you in again. This time this one will be in the tier 2 zone. You guys will make your way over to that contract, grabbing it. It's going to send you over to a group of disciples. Just like the last one we talked about, this is going to be one of those. If you're already geared up to take on the dog collar, you should be more than geared up to take on the tier 2 zone, and more than likely be in a good position to challenge on the group of disciples. But once you guys make your way over to the location, you're able to take out all of the disciples. That reward rift will pop up. You guys will be able to head over to it. You'll open it up, and within that should now be your gold transition surveillance camera. Now at this point, you guys should have access to all 4 of the required parts in order to get your first sigil and or access the Dark Aether portal. And if not, you're going to go back through the steps we just covered, and you guys are going to make sure you get each of these individual items. Once you guys do have all these items available to you, you will want to make sure you infill with all 4 of them in your backpack, as you will need all 4 of them to access the Dark Aether. Now before you guys go any further, once you guys actually infill with all 4 of these items, you're going to want to be extremely prepared for this next step. I definitely recommend Pack Punch level 3, definitely recommend Legendary if you guys can acquire it. Bring the perks that you need, and obviously diving in with the squad is going to help a lot as well. Now the reason you're going to want to be so prepared for this is because once you place each of these items in their correct location, it's actually going to spawn in some tier 3 zombies and also a mega abomination. So you guys are going to want to be prepared to actually battle these guys, or once you go through all of these steps, it is very possible you get eliminated and all of your items could get lost. So you guys are going to want to go over here ready to go with all the things possible to defend yourself, so that way you guys don't go over here and lose all the items that you've worked so hard for. You guys are then going to head near to where the dark portal is to head into the Act 4 mission, and near that area is a shadow tornado or dark aether tornado that you guys are going to want to head into. In this area on this little island is going to be a few different pedestals. Each of these pedestals will need a required item which you now have access to. You guys will have the dead wire one, which you're going to place that camera on. You guys are going to have the napalm one, which you're going to place the dog collar on. You guys are then going to go over to the brain rot one. You're going to place that pill bottle on, and you're going to go over to the last and final one, which is the cryo one, and you're going to place the book down. Once you place each of these items at each of these pedestals in this location, a few moments will pass. All of these items will disappear and a Dark Aether portal will begin to be created. Now it'll actually kind of just form right in front of you, and once the portal is fully built or shows up on your screen, a large group of tier 3 zombies and a Mega Abomination come out of this, and you're going to want to take them on. You guys are going to need to eliminate all of the zombies and more importantly the Mega Abomination, because once you are able to finally eliminate the Mega Abomination, a reward portal will pop up because we'll be able to go over to this portal and inside of it will be your Sigil. The Sigil is the key to all of this. Like I said at the very beginning of the video, you guys can bypass all these steps if you guys are able to find a Sigil by completing contracts in the tier 3 zone, but in this case we did have to go through each and every one of the steps to get our first Sigil, which was available in this reward rift. Let's say for example you guys get eliminated here in the middle of challenging the Mega Abomination. You guys would not only lose the 4 parts, you guys wouldn't be able to get the rift and get access to your Sigil. And once you guys have access to the Sigil, you will then be prepared to take on the Dark Aether. Now if you guys have made it to the point where you've made it over here and you guys have placed all the items down, you're able to actually eliminate the Abomination. You guys are probably set up with enough perks, maybe pack 3 and legendary. You guys will then be ready to go into the Dark Aether. It is important to note though that you can actually eliminate this guy here, grab your Sigil and hold it in your stash for a future run. But if you guys are prepared to take on the Dark Aether, what you're going to want to do, you're going to walk up to the portal frame itself, and on each side of it will be a place that you can interact with. One side it will ask you for an Elder Sigil, which you won't have access to at this time. And on the other side will ask you for a normal Sigil, which you can choose to use at this point. If you guys choose to use your normal Sigil, it will then open up that Dark Aether portal where you guys will then be able to go into it. It will basically exfil you similar to the other story missions and take you into your own instance. But at this point, you guys are then entering the Dark Aether. Now at this point, when I'm making the video, I've only gone into the Dark Aether once, but once you guys actually enter into the Dark Aether, it's its own instance. You guys have another 30 minutes to do whatever it is that you can in that time period, and there will be some contracts that are available. Once you guys actually spawn in, you guys will see some Aether bunnies toward the end of the bridge that you guys are walking on. These Aether bunnies will then disappear or travel to random locations on the map. These are actually going to be your contracts. Whenever you get within the vicinity of them, you guys should hear what sounds like a little kid laughing. You guys then within that area should be able to find one of these Aether bunnies where you guys will be able to grab it, initiating a contract. Now for my first and only run, we did go ahead and grab a contract, which then took us over to an Outlast location where we then had to defend that area for that time period while that P&D was building up. Now it is important to note this was extremely difficult. So although we were able to do it in a duo, I think it would be next to impossible in a solo, and I would definitely recommend 3 or more people if you guys are looking to get this done. Now essentially once we were able to survive the Outlast contract, we did, very similar to the regular world, receive a reward rift which we went over to open, and when we opened it, it actually gave us an Elder Sigil. So at some point in the future, we can actually go back to that portal which we used to enter the Dark Aether from the map originally, go back over to it on the other side from where we entered our original Sigil. We can then use this Elder Sigil to enter a more difficult version of that Dark Aether. Now at the time I'm making this video, there's definitely a lot to discover in the Dark Aether, and I haven't gone very far into it, but I did want to make this video that way you guys would know exactly what you needed to do to acquire the items and how you guys would go about entering the Dark Aether, so that way you guys could jump into the content. So that's going to be all the steps to acquire all the items to open the Dark Aether, how you guys will go about going inside it, and then what you guys can even do inside by completing a contract to then reward yourself with an Elder Sigil, which you then can use in a future run to fight a much more difficult version of this Dark Aether. But that's going to wrap things up for today's video. Thank you guys for all the support in today's video, all the support in the channel. I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one. Peace.